Okay. Okay.
The Belgian Grand Prix.
Circuit de Spa de Francorchamps, as they say in Belgium.
It is kind of funny that they speak French.
Do they?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that.
Francorchamps.
Do they speak German at all? I thought they spoke
I think
a bit
they
of
speak
German.
some.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of half and half, like a New Brunswick sort of situation.
Yeah.
Is it?
Perhaps.
It might be.
1/3,
Anybody that
2/3.
knows more about Belgium, let us know.
Let us know.
Yeah. I'm not really familiar with their customs and attire.
I would love to know about Belgian clothing.
Yeah, I'd like to know
What I
what's
know
trending.
is their racetracks are great.
Yeah.
Zolder is in Belgium.
Oh, yeah.
Zolder, great track.
Yeah,
Spa is
track.
in Belgium.
Spa.
Circuit de Spa.
Yeah, and that's where this was. Spa is,
That's where this was.
I think it's probably the best track.
It's the best track to drive. I'm beginning to fall out of love with it for
As a
F1
spectator.
racing. Yeah,
Really?
I am. But there's parts of it that, like, my appreciation for the sport is what makes me freaking love Spa.
Yeah.
And, like, the driving of Spa and the spectator ability on Eau Rouge.
Yep.
Which is that downhill to uphill transition corner is so cool. But the rest of the track, it's starting to kind of wear on me. And it was always my favorite. But then as a spectator now, I'm kind of going, like, this is objectively not the best racing track. Sorta. There has been good racing
This race
there.
is pretty good.
It was good, but
There's quite a bit of passing that happened.
there
and
was quite a bit
whatnot.
of passing. I just feel like it's kind of open and shut.
I see. It's kind of only like a couple spots to pass in, and that's sort
And
of it.
then it's like, yeah, it's DRS zones. They did shorten up the one, and that helped. But then what that did was it just meant that people couldn't pass.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, that's all that kind of
sure,
meant this
yeah.
year. But I love racing the track, and I love watching F1 cars race the track. So I still like it. A lot of people complain about Spa and think that it shouldn't be on the calendar. I disagree. It's beginning to not be my favorite spectator event.
No, that's fair enough.
You know.
It's not necessarily the best track from that standpoint, and I could agree with that.
Yeah.
But it's still an interesting track and far from the worst.
Certainly far from
I think
the worst.
there's a lot of worse tracks on the
Certainly far from the
calendar
worst.
that I would get rid of before I got rid of Spa.
Yeah. I heard somebody far more famous and intelligent than us suggest the idea of having F1 drivers race lower series cars in Monaco.
Yeah, I remember.
So we're onto
we
something.
Brought that up.
No, this just happened last week.
What?
I heard that. Yeah.
Oh. I swear we've talked about that before.
We've talked about putting them in lower series cars, but no, I was listening to this podcast with a doctor that really likes
Doctor?
F1. Yes. He's actually from Canada.
Is he a real doctor or
yes, a real doctor. Not like
like a
not like a
sorry.
doctorate of education.
Okay, yeah, that's kind
Like
of
a- like
I don't,
a
I
me-
don't mean to like.
He's sliding doctorate people. To be
No.
honest, I was actually thinking about. I was like, I wonder what like the least effort doctorate I could achieve is.
Oh, I don't know if any of them would be that low effort, but maybe like philosophy. You don't think?
I don't
The
know.
only reason I say philosophy is because like you can just kind of
Nothing's wrong,
yeah,
but I don't have the patience for that.
yeah.
But like, I follow this guy on Instagram because he posts a lot of great information
Mhm.
about Formula One. It's F1 Data Analysis. That's the account name. He's Italian, and he just got his doctorate in aerodynamics.
Oh, really?
And I was like,
How old is this guy?
I think he's in his 30s.
So he's not a medical doctor.
Wait, who are we talking about? I'm
Wait.
talking about a guy on Instagram that I follow that's a doctorate of aerodynamics.
Oh, okay, sorry.
This is separate from the doctor that likes F1.
My bad.
This is well, he is a doctor. He's referred to as
He's a
doctor. He has a doctorate.
Yeah.
I would freaking love to have a doctorate in something race car related,
Yeah,
and
I
then
mean-
have people refer to me as doctor.
Then you could have a job in something race car related too.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
What is Helmut Marko's doctorate in?
Huh.
He's called Dr. Helmut Marko, right?
Huh. Let's look this up.
What is that guy's actual degree in?
Helmut Marko, doctor.
Because like you always see him like I don't know what he does half the time. Like he's in charge of their junior program. That's all I know. Like
Whoa.
What is it in?
Law.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? That's why it's so hard to kick him out of the team.
Yeah, he's got a doctorate in law that he earned in 1967, which I feel like hardly counts.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
That's very rude of me.
But
But I feel like I always think about this. Just take me in the claw machine and drop me back in a certain time.
Yep. Yeah.
I feel like I could achieve a doctorate in something in 1967.
Okay, well, I don't know if the process has changed realistically that much.
There's way more knowledge.
Okay, true, but for like law.
And you know what else?
For
You know what else?
law-
Well, there's less precedents to keep track of. You know what else?
Okay, yeah. What?
There's far more gatekeeping.
True.
Gatekeeping has increased at
forgot about
alarming
that.
amounts.
Yes,
This is
the
This is a
gatekeeping.
pre-gatekeeping doctorate.
Wow.
Does that mean it's worth more or less? I'll leave that up to you, listeners. He also owns 4 hotels
Does he?
in. I'm gonna pronounce these. In Graz, Schlossberg Hotel,
That's probably right. That sounds right.
Augarten Hotel, Lend Hotel, and Kai 36. So he owns 4 hotels in
Wow.
one city of Graz.
Wow. Okay.
Helmut Marko does
He's,
the doctor. Anyways,
he's
this
an
guy got a
entrepreneur.
doctorate in aerodynamics, and I was like, I wonder if I could get a doctorate in aerodynamics at a community college. How many doctorates of aerodynamics are there for me to present my ideas to the board in Canada?
Probably more than you think.
No, but I would only do race car stuff, so they're like, well, I have a doctorate, and I'd be like, yeah, you make airplanes fly. I do not care. This is about making things stick to the ground. Stay in your lane. I'd say that.
I think some of the
I defend my thesis just aggressively.
I think some of the general principles of aerodynamics would apply to both. I got a sneaking suspicion
No.
that they're not completely separate from each other.
You think the same principles that keep an airplane up there keep a car stuck down here? You think you just turn an airplane upside down and put wheels on it?
It strikes me that you could just reverse what is causing the airplane to go up in order to make a car go down.
It's like you never think anything through before you say it.
Mm.
Where's the road?
Where's the road?
Yeah. Or are we getting into how the sky is actually paved and not real?
I want to ask a very important question here. Have you heard of a runway?
Yeah, models walk on them, so what?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Have you seen the ones that planes take off from?
Planes walk down runways?
They do. In fact, they taxi onto them sometimes. They take taxis.
Planes take people down runways?
Yeah.
For fares?
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
Learn
They
something
collect
new
a
every day.
fare. They take people down the runway.
They have a fares?
Oh my goodness!
Oh my gosh.
You're learning.
I'm taking an airplane in August. Oh, crap.
Yeah, well, it's cheating on its spouse.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I'm complicit.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was my thought. But anyways, this going back to the original point, this doctor, Dr. Peter Attia, Peter, Peter, you're watching F1.
Yeah, what are you trying to say about this guy?
I'm trying to say he said that they should race F3 cars at Monaco or go-karts. He said race smaller cars that are spec series or don't race at Monaco at all.
Yeah, I agree with
And
this
I went,
notion.
he said what I said.
You did say that.
So I think Peter listens to our podcast.
He might be a listener.
He might be a listener.
We
Shout
do have
out
some listeners that are not our friends and family.
Shout out to Dr. Peter Attia
Okay.
for listening to this podcast.
If you listen, reach out to us.
If you listen, reach out. You know where to find us.
Yeah.
GreenGuys98@gmail.com.
You could be the first guest to sit on the crack.
El Crackamundo.
Yep.
Anyways, the race. I already checked. We don't have fan mail.
I know we don't have fan
Sad
mail.
day.
I did also check.
Sad day.
But
What do we got?
news.
News.
You love skipping news.
Breaking
I've noticed
news.
this. You hate the news.
Yeah, generally.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, a couple news items. Big one that came out today. Carlos Sainz has officially signed with Williams.
Woo!
What are your thoughts?
Poor Carlos.
Yeah, I don't.
Little transitionary period. Best case scenario, he drives the wheels off of that car. Williams gets good development, and some team goes, holy smokes, he outperformed that car a lot, and picks him up in 2026.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, he can't come to grips with the car, he looks bad, and his stock goes down.
Yep. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And congratulations, he has the ability to leave. Doesn't matter if you're worth nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Like, apparently he went with this because of the contract flexibility, and he has clauses in it that allow him to move to a team that is like a top tier team. But the thing I don't understand about that, almost every top tier team right now had seats available.
Men said no.
And said, yeah, Mercedes already had a seat available. Red Bull potentially has a seat available.
Yeah.
Realistically, they could replace Perez. We'll talk more about that probably a bit later. Unfortunately, again, yeah. Ferrari kicked him out, so obviously he's not going back there.
Yeah.
And, yeah, like, Aston Martin apparently shopped around before rehiring Stroll. And they'd be the next top team besides McLaren, which is locked in. So unless Carlos Sainz plans on going back to McLaren or Ferrari, like, the other two top teams had seats available that he did not do anything about.
You know who has a seat available?
Who?
Alpine.
Alpine does.
He
have
could
a
go
seat
back
available.
to Renault.
Yeah, that's true. Carlos has been in a lot of different teams, eh? McLaren, Renault, Red Bull. Well, their junior team.
The junior team. Yeah.
Ferrari. Now Williams. He's been on half the teams in the grid.
It's true.
This guy's crazy.
I think it's actually only the Red Bull senior team and Sauber that he hasn't driven for.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
He's driven for 8 teams.
He just
Williams.
loves team hopping. He's truly walking in Fernando Alonso's
Toro Rosso.
footsteps.
It's unfortunate. Let me count these.
Yeah,
Williams,
I don't think
Williams,
what you said
Toro
is quite
Rosso,
right
it might
there.
not be. He hasn't driven for Haas. My bad.
Yeah,
That's the one I
or
missed.
Aston Martin.
Or Aston Martin.
Or
My
any
bad.
of their previous iterations.
Okay, 4 of the teams he has not raced for, but racing for 6 teams is pretty crazy.
Has it been 6? Are you confident about that?
No, not at all. Toro Rosso,
He hasn't drove for Mercedes.
Renault. It might be 5.
I think
Toro
it's 5.
Rosso, Renault, McLaren, Ferrari, Williams. 5. He's driven for half the teams.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's
Yeah,
still
it's
a lot.
it is still a lot.
I knew we shouldn't have done this tonight.
Yeah, we're recording a day earlier than we often do.
Ugh, killing me.
Yeah, it's a bit of a disaster over here.
Kidding.
Bit of a disaster.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, he's driving for Williams. Very cool. Inherently, that would mean that Logan Sargent is not.
They did announce that Logan Sargent is leaving the team, yes.
So is Logan Sargent going to Alpine?
I would think so.
Cheeky little Alpine move. Alpine's definitely not going to hire in Jack Doohan,
Yeah, I mean,
who is their top junior driver.
there's no way Alpine's letting another junior driver slip through the cracks like they did with Oscar Piastri. Let's be real.
Imagine if it happened again.
Then some
'Cause
more
there's a
people are
seat-
getting fired.
There's a seat free at Audi.
There is a seat for
sorta.
Audi. That'd be so funny. That'd be so funny if Alpine tries to hire Jack Doohan and he says,
I will
No,
not,
no, no.
I will, it is, yeah.
I've signed with
I will not be
Audi.
driving for Alpine.
I will not be
'Cause
driving.
Bottas and Guan Yu Zhou do not have drives next year
No.
officially.
I would think Bottas sticks around
I
still.
would think he would too.
Joe, I'm not so sure about.
He might go to Alpine. He was a part of
He
the
could.
Alpine Junior.
I mean,
Or wait.
Joe's not terrible.
I don't even know.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Who cares?
Noah's spreading a lot of misinformation today.
It's disinformation.
Well,
There's a difference.
come see, come saw.
I believe it's true, and I'm spreading it. Whether it is or not is up to the listener.
Uh-huh.
Misinformation is me purposefully steering people in the wrong direction.
How do I know you're not doing this on purpose? Huh?
Yes, you don't.
Answer me that.
I guess you don't.
Yeah, exactly. So
Not my problem. Anyhow, what's the other news?
the other news is the mythical figure Bruno Famine.
Oh yes, Alpine's team principal that we
Alpine's
didn't
team
know about
principal that
until 4 races or 6 races ago.
Is getting fired.
Is gone.
Yeah.
This was the last race.
Yeah.
He's canned.
So.
But he's canned, but he's just leaving the F1 team. But nobody cares if you leave the F1 team.
Yeah.
Because Alpine's other racing endeavors aren't going that well.
No, it was very bizarre, this one. It seems like he was only the team principal for an extremely short period of time. I don't know why they got rid of
started.
him.
Was it when they fired Otmar?
Well, no, they never announced one that season.
No, they didn't. But he just kind of like existed.
Yeah, he just
showed up
one day. So I don't know.
So Bruno Famé.
So he's gone.
Famé.
He's gone. Alpine is once again without a team
without
principal.
a team principal.
And
without
we will
some leadership. We'll see how that works out. Poor Pierre Gasly.
Yeah.
Esteban Ocon is officially driving for Haas in 2025.
Yeah.
So is Oliver Behrman.
Last time or not?
So is Oliver Behrman.
Yeah.
Fun fact: you can finish 14th in the F2 championship and still get to drive an F1. Apparently.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll actually see if that comes true. If he doesn't improve, but then why would they announce him?
Yeah, clearly they're hiring him. They've hired him. So like,
because some people in the F1 community have said if he doesn't improve or if he gets worse, it could change.
I mean, there could be clauses in his contract for how well he performs in F2 before they actually hire him on fully.
Yeah.
But they've fully announced him and everything.
Yeah.
And he has F1 experience more than any other F2 driver.
It's true.
So maybe they just don't care.
And
I
he
don't
did
know.
score points.
I don't know.
It wasn't
and
present.
it's kind of like that thing that we talked about. Maybe he's focusing on learning F1 cars more,
and
he's
care
just
about
neglecting
F2.
his F2 duties.
Yeah, and I guess that's the
possible.
back end that we don't know is like if he's hopping in the simulator and he's putting down heater times, then a team would be like, well, what's wrong with him?
Yep.
He's fast enough.
Do we want to talk about rumors at all?
The only rumor I know of is about Sergio Perez, and I'm sick of talking about it.
Yeah, but we have to talk about it.
I know.
We
Go
have
ahead.
to.
Lead the way.
All right.
Ugh.
All right.
I'm actually tired of this.
To spoil the race a little bit, Perez didn't do that well. This doesn't really spoil anything. We'll get to the ins and outs of it. It doesn't really matter for the context of this rumor. But Perez did bad again. I think most people would agree with that. It wasn't a great race from him.
Started second, finished eighth.
Finished 8th, and then got promoted to 7th on a technicality.
Yeah.
So realistically, finished 8th.
Yeah.
And there is once again speculation about him losing his seat at Red Bull. Perez has come out himself and said that he's tired of talking about this, as many of us are, and that he will continue to drive for Red Bull. Christian Horner apparently also just said that Perez will continue with the team.
He will race all of 2024.
So they say.
The rest of 2024.
Horner is also on record as saying the exact same thing pretty much for Pierre Gasly back in the day, immediately before they replaced him.
Yeah.
So, what does Horner's word mean there? Not much.
Nothing. Means nothing.
I heard a rumor.
Pierre Gasly and Alex Albon look pretty good now.
They do. They look
Don't
great.
they?
Yeah.
What'd you hear a rumor?
I heard a rumor.
The rumor mill?
That
rumor
during... I saw this one crop up somewhere on Instagram. It could be reliable. It could not be.
All right.
That's a toss-up one. But
David's Gossip Corner.
Yeah. That Red Bull, during the summer break, plans to have a shootout between Ricciardo and Lawson to see who is most suitable for replacing Perez. Wouldn't you love to watch that?
I wish they televised that.
Yeah, I want to watch that. If they do like a tire test shootout between the two of them,
and you
I'd
know
love
that
to see
like
that.
they're running the same things,
Yeah.
and you can see them just do it.
I don't see how Lawson wins that. It seems like a very unfair comparison.
Yeah, but if he wins that,
Well, that'd look really bad for Ricciardo.
I would think it would look really good for Lawson.
It would look fantastic for Lawson as well. It would be a bit of a double whammy, looking bad for Ricciardo and looking great for Lawson.
Yeah.
they don't seem. Nothing I'm seeing seems like they're considering Tsunoda at all.
No.
I don't think they want him in that
No.
seat.
There's not I haven't seen a single rumor that they're like Tsunoda to the Red Bull
No.
team. It's like, no.
I saw one
Which
thing that
is too bad.
apparently Helmut Marko was trying to back Tsunoda more so, but I don't even think that's true. Like, he's not said anything about that.
With Marco's track record, I doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt that. I
So-
think Tsunoda's too hot-headed. They know that, and they don't really want him in the car
Yeah.
alongside
yeah.
Max.
Yeah.
And
2 hotheads.
Yeah. Ugh. Also, Ricardo would probably be a pretty good team player.
Yep.
Probably.
Yep.
So
I guess we'll see what happens over the summer break.
we'll see what happens. Another really bad race from Perez. It looked promising. He had a really good qualifying, and then just was awful in the race. Straight
Just
up
didn't
terrible.
do anything
Did nothing
other
just,
than lose places.
yeah, lost positions hand over fist. Lost to his teammate that started in 11th.
Yeah.
By not even a small margin. Like, lost significantly to his teammate that started in 11th when he
By 3
started in
places.
second.
Yeah. No safety cars, no damage, no crashes.
Yeah, there's
no
no
mistakes.
excuses this time. I saw somebody
Just
try to
no
say he had a
pace.
battery issue, and it's like there's no
He
way.
did complain about speed on the straights, but Verstappen wasn't that fast on the straights either.
No, Red Bull just wasn't that fast on the streets.
No.
Like, it was just another bad race from Perez.
So
you can try
let's-
to come up with excuses.
Ugh.
I don't think that.
So just so done
yeah,
with talking about it, but you have to because he's the second driver in
what a
the best team.
yep, and Max got the fastest time in qualifying.
Yep, by half a second basically.
Yeah. So again, still in what appeared to be one of the fastest cars on track for this circuit,
Yep.
and he's just doing nothing with it.
Yep.
Absolutely nothing.
So hopefully this nightmare ends at some point.
I just want him replaced, man.
Even if he would he can stay in F1
Yeah,
maybe now.
whatever.
Whatever.
Go
It's
to,
fine.
Go to
Whatever.
Audi. I don't care.
Yeah.
Just like I don't
We
want
want
to
somebody
hear about,
who's going to push that car and hear about how he's. I don't want to
Yeah.
hear about how he's underperforming in that car anymore.
Because
Because he is, and he has been for the past 3 years, basically.
Yeah, essentially. And it's like it's been multiple years of this at this point of speculation and rumors flying around about him losing his seat because he flat out has been underperforming.
Yeah.
He's way behind Max in the driver's standings at this point. Red Bull is almost certainly going to lose the Constructor Championship
Yes, to McLaren.
to McLaren, maybe even Ferrari at this point
Yeah.
too.
McLaren's like actually in the fight for it
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. And there's still half the races to go, basically.
Yeah.
So,
How are you gonna pull that out?
yeah,
I think if they don't win the constructors, that's a pretty clear.
that's going to be pretty damning for Perez.
So, anyways, hopefully that gets resolved.
Yeah.
So, from there, I did not have time to watch practice or qualifying. Did you?
I did not watch qualifying this time.
But you watched practice.
No.
Oh.
I don't know. I genuinely don't know the point in watching practice.
The only time I watched practice was I think I had a day off one time on a Friday, so I watched some practice. And another time we were working in the shop the one day, so I threw F1 TV on and we watched F1 while we were making fittings in the shop because we had a shop day. So anyways, it worked out, but I usually don't. It is interesting to see, but anyways, qualifying
Can be.
was the most interesting storyline was that Max took a new engine.
Yep.
Which was outside of the allotted amount for this time during the year,
Yes.
basically.
Yep.
So that handed him a 10-place grid penalty. He got the fastest time
Yes.
by it was like 0.482 or something like that.
Yeah,
seconds.
in like a wet weather qualifying
Yeah,
session.
it was a lot faster.
Yep.
And anyways, that made him start in 11th. So that was kind of the storyline, was like Max was half a second faster in the wet, but was starting from 11th.
He's also taken similar engine penalties at like
He took the exact same one last year.
and the year before too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's pretty consistent that he does this, and he's been pretty good at making a comeback. He seems to be very good at Spa.
Yeah.
He likes this track,
Yeah.
clearly. Clear.
So the starting grid was as follows. Leclerc inherited pole position, so
Yep.
he started first.
Quite exciting to see a Ferrari back in the
Yes.
front row.
Yes, very exciting.
Yeah,
Second was Perez, so he qualified well.
he did.
He did qualify well.
Yeah, he did fine in qualifying.
Third was Hamilton. Fourth was Norris. Fifth was Piastri. Sixth was Russell. Seventh was Sainz. And I'm so sorry, listeners. I forgot to write down 8th, 9th, and 10th because of order.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It was the Aston Martin somewhere in the back of the pack there.
It was.
I know that for sure. But it kind of got overshadowed with the whole stuff with Max and then Leclerc getting pole position instead.
Yes.
And to be honest, the people
Here
in
we
these
go.
kind of lower ranges didn't do a heck of a lot in the race. But
Yes. So Sainz was 7th. Alonso was 8th, sorry.
Yep.
Ocon was 9th, and Albon was 10th.
Yep.
Because of Max Verstappen getting knocked down. So Alpine and Williams and Fernando Alonso
Yep.
in the top 10.
Yeah, I saw some
I
stat
was actually
about
quite
that
impressed about
relating
Ocon.
to like how many different teams were in the top 10.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know, it was something stupid, but
It was a lot.
interesting. It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
It was at least 4. So anyhow, that was the top 10. So the race started.
The race started.
The race started. Leclerc kept the lead.
Yep. He
which
actually
was
had a
exciting.
pretty good launch.
That was a great
pretty
launch.
good start to the race.
Norris lost a ton of places.
Yes, because he went off.
He
in
went
the
a
first
little bit
corner.
wide and then just had to get out of the gas a little bit, and he dropped back like 3 places right off the start.
Yep.
He was 2 places ahead of Max Verstappen, so I was like, oh, dang, because I'm kind of cheering for Leclerc and Norris now because Norris is kind of like the one who will actually fight for the championship.
Yeah.
But I like Leclerc a lot.
I would want Norris to win the championship more than Verstappen,
Yeah.
obviously. But now at this point, I'm rooting for Hamilton to win it. Yep.
Yeah. Well, whoever you root for, I won't.
Okay.
So we'll cover those bases.
Yeah.
Maybe
all
I
right.
should start rooting for Verstappen.
Yeah. You
I
think?
should,
He's a bit of
yeah.
an underdog at this point.
I should, yeah. So, anyways, Hamilton got into second place because he passed Perez.
Yep.
On the first straight, basically.
Yeah, like right off the launch.
And
basically.
then, within a couple laps, Hamilton made the pass on Leclerc and was into first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tidily as well.
Yep. It was a pretty clean pass.
The pace of the Mercedes was a surprise because they did not look good anywhere at all until, qualifying. It was pretty decent, 3rd and 6th. And then in the race, they were lit up.
That's kind of their shtick for the last couple of years, though.
true.
It's like bad qualifying pace, but pretty good race pace.
Yeah.
They seem to set their car up more for the race to manage tire wear.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem to be willing to take that hit in qualifying times.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like Hamilton got in the lead very early on, got past Leclerc, and Leclerc kind of hung on to the back of him, and that's sort of how the order stayed for quite a while.
Yes, it wasn't like there was passes, but there wasn't a ton of movement.
Yeah.
It was more of like a kind of a trudging along race of like people making slight moves.
Yeah.
Strategy was a big factor.
It was a much more strategic race
Yeah.
than like actual outright like exciting passing going on.
Mm-hmm. So Verstappen and Russell kicked off the top 10 pit stops in lap 11.
Yep.
So a quarter of the way through the race, George Russell came off of mediums and went on to hards. This is important. Verstappen stopped at the same time.
Yep.
Whatever. They go through Verstappen's stops, he effectively and Perez's inability to be that fast. He effectively undercut past Perez.
Yeah.
He got up to the back of Perez and then he just let him by.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yeah.
They
weren't going to hold up Max
No.
by having Perez just like sit there and be like, nope, you can't go past.
No. Yeah. And then Hamilton, Perez, and Piastri in lap, like they all kind of just pitted at the same time. Norris was the last to do so in lap 16. And
yeah, Sainz and Norris stayed out for a while, didn't they?
yes. Sainz pitted on lap 21.
Yeah,
21.
he stayed out for quite a little while.
Yeah. So Norris pitted on lap 16 and got undercut hard.
Yep.
By Verstappen.
Yep.
So again, like we talked about last week, Verstappen pitted earlier so that when Norris's tires fell off, he would be going slower and then pit, and that allowed Max to just pass right by him.
It did.
Wasn't really a chance, so that was too bad.
Yeah, it was.
But
too
that
bad.
was kind of like the margins are pretty close there.
Yep.
On how he could have done that, because
Yep.
he stayed out, 5 laps longer than Verstappen.
Yep.
So he probably should have been like 1 or 2, but what do you do? And then, Sainz stayed out for a while. And then Russell caught and passed Perez.
Yep.
For 4th.
Yep.
Which was crazy. And Russell was on one on this race.
He was.
It was very impressive.
Oh, yeah. Well,
So
Russell
shall we
was
talk
killing
about
it.
Russell's race?
Let's talk about Russell's race.
So George Russell pitted on lap 11 for hard tires.
Yep.
And then just didn't pit again.
Yep. He said to the team, tires feel good. They tried to bring him into the pits, and he was like, no, I think we should stay out.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. He just never pitted again the entire race. He ran 33. I saw one thing that said he ran actually 34 laps on those tires.
Technically the last lap.
Yeah. So he ran 34 laps on a set of hard tires
At Spa.
at Spa, which is only a 44-lap race.
Yeah.
And just kept going.
The car was it was just great. Like the Mercedes was really nice on the tires.
Yeah, fantastic.
Obviously.
Yeah.
The Mercedes, they brought them in well, like they brought them up to temperature well, and then they just did not cut into them.
Yeah.
Like you saw Hamilton earlier in the race on his mediums; those got cut up a little bit, but I think he was pushing quite a bit because he was in a different race, and then Russell was just able to kind of sit back and go like, "I just won't stop again."
Yeah. Yeah, and
that shot him right to the front of the field.
Yeah, that got Russell in first, and he never lost first place once he got there.
And like to understand, I'm pretty sure Perez was on newer hard tires than Russell when Russell passed him.
Yeah. Yep.
So Russell was doing great.
Good
and then
Russell.
How did that end out? Hamilton eventually caught up to Russell.
Yep, Hamilton caught up to the back of Russell, and there was about 3 laps where Hamilton was right on the back of Russell, could not quite get past.
No.
That was Mercedes fighting each other. Just Russell stayed ahead.
Yep, they were allowed to race. Hamilton was trying to catch him, but that was the thing about Spa this year.
Yep,
was that them shortening that DRS on the
really
Camel
made
Straight.
passing hard.
It did, but it's trying to maybe it proves the point that they were trying to make, which is like there's too many DRS slam dunk passes.
Yeah.
Which I get, but then at the same time, it's just kind of with the way that the cars operate and how the racing is. It's not like you can send it everywhere in Spa.
No, you can't.
And it's not the track's fault. But they shortened the DRS enough that you had to be within 0.3 of a second.
Yep. In order to actually get
when
past
the DRS activation was, and like that's pretty tight.
Yeah.
For how long that straight is too, that's very tight.
It is.
And when you're going through Eau Rouge, like just the way that track is, you have to sit half a second back to have grip.
Yeah.
So it kind of just didn't. It was kind of just obvious that if you had a very good pace advantage in hand, you could make a pass.
Yep.
Or if you had a car advantage in hand. But if you didn't, you kind of were just stuck there. Like Piastri spent a lot of his time just waiting out behind people, not quite getting enough DRS to pass.
It was surprising too because Hamilton was making up about like
he was making up like a second a lap.
Close to, not quite, but close to.
Yeah.
So it was surprising that Hamilton couldn't get past.
I'm messing up. At the end, Piastri was making up a second a lap.
Yeah, Piastri was on
Hamilton, catching him.
That was kind of surprising too. Mercedes didn't give any team orders here.
Yeah.
But because they didn't, it meant that Piastri had a chance to potentially overtake Hamilton.
Yeah.
Because Russell was going way slower than Hamilton.
Yeah.
And
then Hamilton could have, but then it was just fast enough that Hamilton couldn't pass him.
Yep.
Because, George Russell did such a great job.
Yeah. And
he was getting great exit out of the corners on all the straights and stuff because you could see him pulling away on the straights.
You could.
But then, the end result.
George Russell won the race. Hamilton came second. Piastri third.
Piastri came third, and Leclerc was fourth.
So it seemed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Those dirty cheaters at Mercedes up to some old tricks over there. They weighed Russell's car at the end of the race.
Yep.
And it came in a grand total of 1.5 kilograms underweight.
3.6 pounds.
3.6 pounds. This disqualified him from the race. So, Russell came dead last.
Came nothing.
Yeah, nothing. The position doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
And Hamilton won the race.
Piastri second.
Leclerc
third.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Ferrari back on the podium. A well-deserved podium.
A win is a win.
A win is a win. It was really unfortunate, though. There's
It
a lot of
was.
speculation and a lot of statements that have been put out about why the car came in underweight.
Uh-huh.
One of these being that because Russell went for so long on that one set of tires, it caused the car to come in underweight because the tires had lost so much rubber.
I don't believe that.
I don't believe that either, and you know partially why I don't?
Because
There
of
was
Alex
somebody
Albon.
else in the top 10
Oh.
that ran a one-stop strategy
Who?
on very similar lap, and pitted at very similar lap times.
Okay.
I'm surprised you don't know who.
I don't know who.
I'm
Was it Fernando
disappointed.
Alonso?
It was Fernando Alonso.
Oh, I can't believe that.
It was Fernando
I
Alonso.
can't believe that.
Also did a one-stop strategy. Their car was fine.
Huh.
So there were a couple others further down the grid that did too.
Okay.
So there were a few people that also drove their cars on a one-stop strategy, and I think Russell did go longer than any of them, but not by much.
And I know for a fact there have been drivers who have pushed tires farther, as in, remember that time Alex Albon pitted on the first lap and did an entire race on hards?
Yep.
Back in 2022.
Yep.
The cords were coming through.
Yeah.
It was that worn down.
Yeah.
George Russell was nowhere close to that.
No, his
I'm
tires
sorry.
looked all right.
They looked fantastic.
Yeah.
Actually, they looked immaculate.
When he rolled into Parc Ferme, as they call it,
Yes.
into the first place spot, his tires looked good.
Yep.
The car looked fine. Everything looked fine. So I don't believe it lost 1.5 kilograms of rubber, and that just put them underweight because they didn't plan for that. That seems a little silly to me.
Yeah.
You would plan for tire wear, and you would over-plan for it.
Yeah, and
if
if
team
you're
is not being
competing
completely stupid,
if you're competing for points, you wouldn't let your entire race performance be thrown away because of the weight on the tires.
yeah,
Nobody's pitting people right at the end of the race so that they can pick up weight.
yeah,
Nobody.
no, it just doesn't make
Nobody.
sense. It sounds like a very silly excuse to me.
Yeah.
Clearly something else happened here. I don't know exactly what. I don't know if they just screwed up the ballast on George Russell's car.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was deliberate and they just figured it might not get checked.
Yeah.
Because they only check a certain amount of cars at the end of the race.
Yeah.
And Russell's was one of them.
Because obviously, I think the winner's car gets checked
Yep.
like every time.
Yep,
But
I
what
would think
what
so.
else did you hear?
What
I'm
else? did I
curious
hear?
if it's what I know.
I'm trying to think. There was one other thing that I heard, but I'm kind of
So
drawing a blank on what it was.
One of the things that I don't know if anybody's really bringing up, but I don't know if it matters either, is at the end of an F1 race, you will cross the finish line and then they will do an in-lap basically, or a parade lap. So they will drive around the track at slower speeds. They usually wave to the crowd and whatever, but they don't do that at Spa. Now, why that's important for weight is because drivers, and all of them do this, the drivers will go off the racing line and they'll pick up all the rubber tire marbles or like little shreddies of tire so that their car can weigh as much as possible
Yes, I forgot about
when
this.
they get to the pits and when they get weighed.
I did hear this one
So
as well.
most of the time when cars pull in, you will see that they have all these little flecks all over the tire. And that's all the shredded off little marbles. Do I believe that there was 3.6 pounds of tire marbles missing? I don't know.
That's a lot.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe, but again,
What a way to strategize. Like,
again,
for the driver
how
to have to pick up that much weight at the end of the race is crazy.
And then,
no team's doing
again, you're running the risk. Like, Mercedes is a top team. Like, they've shown that they have been a top team. They haven't been in the 2022 era, but for them to risk their entire race performance on picking up marbles is unbelievable to me. On a track that they know does not have a parade lap.
Exactly.
They would never do that.
No.
I think it's just a plain old-fashioned mistake.
I think so too.
And
Yeah.
I think Toto Wolff knew it before they announced it.
He did look a little disappointed.
I think he knew it.
He didn't look
I don't know
terribly
how. I
excited.
don't think that it's a conspiracy. I'm usually the first one to think it's a conspiracy, but I don't think it was.
Yeah.
I think the officials weighed it and went, that car was underweight before I think he knew very quickly.
Yeah, he must have known quickly. I don't know how quickly. If he knew before the race ended, I don't know why they wouldn't have given team orders to swap the cars around.
Because, I don't know.
Because then if it is tire weight, as is going around, Hamilton was on way fresher tires.
But they probably would have weighed his car anyways. It just would have been Hamilton would have won one.
But do we know if second place was weighed as well?
We don't.
We don't.
But how do they can't know that second place isn't going to get weighed?
It's true. That's true.
It would be hedging the bets, but it's like,
But if first place is guaranteed to get weighed, why not take that chance?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
If you know the car is underweight, why take that chance?
I don't know.
That would be the question.
Give your lead driver some confidence going into next year.
I guess, yeah.
That he can pull out all the stops and win a race. He did win that race.
He did win that race.
And now, well.
What? Ooh. What?
Actually.
Yes,
if that car was 1.5 kilograms underweight, that's a lot of pace.
It can be.
That's a lot of pace on a fast track.
Yeah. It could potentially be additional, and it could be additional tire savings too. It's less weight on the car. Your tires can run longer.
Most definitely would be.
So there is an argument to be made that no, Russell didn't earn the win because his car was underweight. I don't know how much time
he drove to. He
drove fantastic.
He drove to earn it.
He drove fantastic. I don't know how much time he would have gained from being that much underweight. I have no idea. I saw some people online say it would have been about 0.003 a lap. If that is true, if you times that by 44, it translates into just a few seconds. So that means he still would have been at least...
It'd be a 100th of a second per lap.
Oh, sorry, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's 100th
That is what I times it by.
It would be 1.3 seconds.
It doesn't translate into a lot of lost time.
Yeah.
Or gain time.
Yeah.
So he could have realistically still finished in the top 3, potentially.
Yeah. With a car that was on weight.
The top 3 was separated by just over a second.
Yes. Now, it caveat because he backed them up.
Because
but
Russell was backing them up.
Still, it's unfortunate George Russell deserved that win with his drive.
Well, the team also screwed Hamilton a little bit. Hamilton reported that the tires were good and that he did not want to box.
And then they just
then they forced him to come into the pits anyways.
And then Russell was allowed to not.
Yeah, so they're willing to listen to Russell when he gives strategy calls, and then Hamilton, they're like, no.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit of
I kind of get that too, because like Hamilton, you're in the lead. We can't blow this lead. If George drops from 6th to 8th because we do a one-stop, But anyways.
I do get that, but at the same time, if like you have your driver sitting there being like, these tires feel good, we can go longer, and you just ignore that
and bring him in,
like,
yeah,
it sucks. It sucks if his teammate wins because like he got ignored when he was trying to get the same strategy for himself.
Yep.
And I do understand why the strategist would bring Hamilton in. Obviously, there is some reason to that. And it's mimicking the same strategy as the other people around him.
Yes.
So it covers that off. But Hamilton did get a little screwed by his team. And he also drove incredibly well. Hamilton did not put a foot wrong in this race.
No, it was amazing. It was amazing. Passed Leclerc on early.
Excellent start to get past Perez.
Didn't really get threatened by anybody.
Yeah, Perez was being super aggressive on that start too.
It's true.
Did you see that?
Yes.
Like he was all over the place.
Yeah,
So, like, fantastic drive from Hamilton.
certainly.
Also, despite Russell getting disqualified, a pretty deserved win from Hamilton,
Yeah.
too. So,
Yep.
it's hard to be disappointed.
Yep, and it was classy. He posted, he was like, that's not how I would like to win, like my teammate being disqualified.
Yeah. But
Not great, but
it's a win.
still won. So, yeah, it's crazy to have 100 and
Which,
how
interestingly,
many wins?
makes 105 now.
105.
105. And it makes Hamilton the only other driver other than Verstappen to win multiple Grand Prix this season. Yep.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep. He is the only other driver to do that now.
Dang.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting, eh?
We could really have a title fight on our
We
hands
could
here.
actually have a title fight.
Constructors are up for grabs. Verstappen still has a pretty good lead, but once we get into these later sprints,
I mean,
if the sprints don't go well,
and it really
for Red Bull,
it really depends too if McLaren can get their strategy together.
yeah,
Because they've been struggling still.
yeah.
This race
Some of their
wasn't.
pit stops were a little sluggish too.
Oscars were good, but
Yeah,
Norris's, well, other than one.
Yeah.
Oscar's first pit stop was a 2-second flat pit stop. That was
Yep.
great. Good time.
Yep.
Then he had another pit stop where he kind of ran over his front jack guy.
that was crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, he went a little long and launched the dude, and the guy just took it and
Yeah,
jacked
and
up the
got
car
back
right
to
away.
it. So good on the mechanic.
Yeah.
He did a great job. But Piastri did hit him with his car.
Yeah.
So yeah, McLaren really needs to get their stuff together. It still seems like they have the fastest car right now. Their pace was pretty good at Spa. I don't think they had a chance of catching Hamilton,
No.
but if they had started maybe a little closer to the front or did a bit better in qualifying,
Well,
then who knows?
Yeah.
But they didn't.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, I guess we'll never know what
We'll never really
what
know.
Norris could have done if he didn't.
Yeah, if he didn't kind of blow that start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
it happens. It's nobody's perfect. It's whatever. It was
N-
too bad.
Norris really needs to iron out the mistakes that he's been making lately, though.
Yeah. Like
'Cause
he's
he's not going to win if he keeps doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's happening way too often.
Yeah.
It's happening
To
way
be a
too
title
often.
challenger.
Yeah.
It was sort of the same with Leclerc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I 100% agree.
It's tough.
Same deal with Leclerc.
Yep.
Now, to be fair, in 2022, Leclerc was driving flawlessly at the start.
He was.
It wasn't really
And
until
then
things
once
already were
things-
unraveling
Yeah.
that his consistency dropped off.
Yeah.
So, like,
Man, that was heartbreaking.
Leclerc was driving well, and the team let him down. I
Yeah.
still stick behind that.
Yeah.
Whereas Norris, the team has let him down a bit, but he's also not driven consistently. Like,
In the race.
yeah, in the races.
He does quite well in practice and qualifying.
He
and
does.
such.
He does. It seems like when the pressure's on, though, he does choke a little.
Yeah, it gets a little
We've
hairy.
saw this in, I think, like one of the sprint races earlier on.
China.
Yeah, China. That's what I thought. I couldn't remember.
Yeah. Lost.
He blew a really strong position.
He basically lost that race completely. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even think he finished in the points
Yeah.
because I think he lost the position and then got spun. I think.
Yeah, he
If I
bottled
remember
that.
correctly.
He's had enough small mistakes that you have to look at that and go, okay, he's got to get his stuff together, and
Yeah.
the team has to get their stuff together.
Yeah. It would be so tough though, as
yeah.
a young driver trying to lead a team. Like he's younger than us.
Norris is young, but he's also been in the sport for a long time now.
Certainly, but you don't know how to lead a team on a championship charge. How do you lead yourself on a championship charge?
You can say that, but then you have people
Like
that
you
have
you
done it
have
in the
I know,
past.
but like you just have to go for it and do it.
You do.
But
like
it's
Hamilton's a good example.
Certainly.
So like,
He almost won it in his rookie year.
yeah, in his rookie year,
Yeah, because he just went for it.
he
But
just went for
I'm
it.
not saying that it's a complete excuse, but I am just empathizing that it is very hard.
It is. It's incredibly hard. But Norris does have a lot of experience at this point.
Especially when you're competing against Max Verstappen.
Yeah, for sure. But
anyways,
Norris has a lot of years driving behind him now.
yeah,
And although, yeah, they're not the most experienced at fighting at the front,
yeah,
um,
he's got to get a little more aggressive.
he's got to get a bit more aggressive and dial back on the mistakes.
Yeah,
So there's
Lock
a few
in.
too many.
Lock
he's
in,
got to
would ya?
lock in. He's
Would
got to
ya?
lock in.
Yeah.
Or else he's not winning this one.
I honestly didn't have much for this race just because it was just a kind of plodding
I
along.
agree.
A plodding along race where the strategy calls were just made.
Yeah. It wasn't like crazy
a lot of stuff.
woo.
A lot of stuff. Like all of a sudden, Perez was being passed by Max.
Yep.
And I was like, "How
It
did?"
just came out of
I don't know
nowhere,
where
yeah.
that happened
Yeah.
because it just happened every single lap. It
Yeah.
just eventually he just got eked back and then
Because Max came, what, like 5th or something like that? I
Yeah.
guess 4th after
Yeah.
Russell dropped out. So,
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So he finished a few places ahead of Perez. Alonso managed to get
like
a couple points.
Sainz managed to stay in the exact same position from start to finish.
Yeah, I don't really know how that happened, but
So like, how did
interesting.
Perez? This is my last point about Perez. Like, how did you get down that far and get passed by Sainz? Like, Sainz is not bad. Sainz
No.
is good.
but Ferrari's car is still not the best, despite
Not
Leclerc
really.
getting pole position.
Yeah.
It didn't have a ton of race pace.
No.
And Perez still got
That's how
passed.
far he tumbled.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
It just, like, it didn't make sense. Perez was getting passed by people he shouldn't have been getting passed by.
Yeah.
And Russell at the end showed how hard it is to actually pass at Spa, too.
Yes.
Like, Hamilton, again, was almost a second a lap faster
Yep.
and still couldn't get past him.
Yeah.
So what was Perez doing? Like, genuinely, what was he doing?
I don't know.
It is an abysmal
Actually, I do
performance.
think I can maybe speak into this. Perez is not very strategic in defense.
No, he's not. You're right.
I can't remember if I sent you that, but like in Austria this year, or no, it was last year.
Yeah.
His engineer had to spell out for him exactly how to defend against Carlos Sainz.
Yes. Yeah, you did send me that.
Because what
yeah.
happened was Perez
Yeah.
kept on trying to pass Sainz, and what was happening was Perez was getting to the DRS detection point first, but he wasn't actually making it past Sainz. So then Sainz would get DRS on him and pass him back immediately.
Yep.
And Perez would never really get the place.
Yeah.
So they'd be side by side, but Sainz was slightly behind. Then Sainz would get the DRS and walk away from him.
And Sainz was, you could tell he was being
It
deliberate.
happened several
Like,
times.
Sainz
Yes.
was letting off early so that Perez would go past him.
On the outside,
give
it was
Sainz
every
DRS.
single time,
Yep.
several laps in a row, and
lap
finally,
after lap.
his engineer had to say, "Think about turn 4, the detection point."
He had to say it multiple times
Yes.
before
turn
Perez
4,
picked it up.
and he couldn't get it, and then he finally got it and got it done. The first time that he actually didn't attack so aggressively, like
Yep.
he's not that strategic with it.
No, he's not.
So he was probably just trying to drive as fast as he thought he could, but he wasn't playing any game with the person behind him. Whereas like Russell, any time that a passing opportunity was coming up, Russell would ensure he got a rocket exit out of the corner leading up to it.
Yep.
And like Hamilton would close in on him, he'd be within 0.3, 0.2 in the corners.
Yep.
And then it would be right before the next passing zone, and Russell would just launch out of there with a fantastic exit, and Hamilton was left to because when you're following somebody that's going slower, you can't go max pace.
No, you can't. You have
Because
to,
if you get too
awkwardly
close,
sit behind.
you'll lose grip.
Yep.
So he's constantly trying to figure out what's Perez going to do, what's
What's
Russell going to do. When's he going to go, and then Russell would go, and then he would try and react to it, and he would lose 0.2 or 0.3 of a second every single time.
Yeah, and there's a lot of corners where you simply can't, like, you won't get past.
You can't pass.
So what you can do as the lead driver too is slow down even more, so it forces them to slow down in a way that they're not really expecting, and then you can just launch out of the corner.
Yeah.
And you've screwed up their whole turn because they
Yeah.
didn't really know what you were doing. So like,
And
there's a lot
Hamilton,
of
like
ways.
if anybody knows how to pass somebody, it's Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not like oh, he should have sent it down. It's like, no, it wasn't there.
It wasn't there.
He couldn't outbrake him.
Yep.
By half a second.
Yeah.
You know,
But
Max
Perez
Verstappen
just,
tried in Hungary.
Yeah.
Now, how did
yeah,
that work?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
doesn't work that way.
But Perez just wasn't. He wasn't doing.
wasn't being
anything.
strategic.
He wasn't putting up a defense.
Which he has shown that he can be very defensive, but in like a
very straightforward.
very
kinda way.
a straightforward way of like, I'll just be in your way as
Yeah.
much as possible.
Yeah.
But with this, it's like, no, you have to plan how you attack to defend.
Yes.
So anyways,
Yeah. Yeah. We have to keep talking about him time
It's too
after
bad.
time. It's too bad.
I wish he could improve. And the thing that Christian Horner did say is like, well, we'll see what he does on tracks that he usually does well on,
Yeah.
which is street circuits, because we've had none.
Yep.
Basically this year. So
Well,
we're none-ish.
Miami.
Yeah. But like, there's going to be like Baku,
Monaco.
Singapore.
He didn't do that well at Monaco.
Yeah, I know. But I'm saying, like, I feel like there's more street circuits in the second half.
There is some more. We still have Baku coming up. We
Yeah.
have Singapore. You're right.
Those
There's
are
some odds and ends.
usually more his forte, apparently. I think if he underperforms there, I think they can him.
I would agree. I just like they're giving him so much leeway.
It's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
It is really crazy. It's like, what are you guys trying to figure out with your other drivers that makes you not able to make this decision?
Yeah, he's 5 places back in the driver's standings right now. There's well over
I think
100 point
he's 7.
differential. Yeah.
I think he's 7
he is
places.
7.
I think he's
That's right.
7.
He's 7 places now. And there's a huge differential between both of them. The gap is now well over 100 points between him and Max, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sergio Perez is 7th with 131 points.
Yeah.
Max is first with 277. Lando Norris is 199.
Yeah. So it's just like, I don't know. I don't get it. He keeps finishing races many places behind Max. He can't seem. He was on the brink in qualifying of not making it into Q3 again. He only beat out one of the vehicles by like 0.03 of a second or something like that to get into Q3.
And that would have been I don't know, I didn't write it down. Anyways, doesn't matter.
But irrelevant. But like, he's
An Aston Martin or something.
yeah, something like that.
Nothing that highfalutin.
It was nothing that highfalutin. It might have even been Logan Sargent again or something. But like, yeah,
It's
and
just not going well for him.
I sent Noah a stat today.
Oh yeah.
This hasn't been updated since Belgium. But prior to Belgium, in the like last 7 races or something like it, Perez only has a positive differential in qualifying against the Alpine cars and the Sauber cars, which have been coming last every race.
Yeah.
Like, those are the only drivers that he has beaten
Outperformed
in qualifying more often than they've beaten him.
outperformed him. Yeah.
The rest of the grid have all beaten Perez more.
Handily. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and the constructors' points, Red Bull is 408, McLaren has 366. So that is a 42-point differential.
Yeah. That could be made
A
up in a couple
1-2
races.
is 25 and 18, so that's 30. That's 43.
Yep. So, like, 2 races, that lead could be
2
gone.
races, you're no longer the first constructor. It'd be crazy if McLaren won the constructors. That'd be
Really
wild.
cool. Really cool.
Ferrari's only 11 points behind McLaren.
That's true. Ferrari could bring it back.
Ferrari could win second.
Like,
If Perez keeps not performing.
at this point, nobody's really out of it. Like,
No.
Ferrari and Leclerc could make a comeback
Yeah.
in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
Leclerc could still theoretically win the Drivers' Championship. It is not gone. If Ferrari gets their act together, they could be in it.
True. He's only
Honestly-
22 points behind Norris.
Yeah, I was kind of joking about this, but, like, Hamilton could actually legitimately be in that fight, too.
If they could just start stacking up wins.
Yeah.
Hamilton's 150 points.
It's
in
150. It's substantial, but
So
If
he's 120
Red Bull-
points behind, but
still stays off of form like they have been.
if they don't have 2 cars scoring points in the top 5,
Yeah.
it's pretty easy
Yeah.
to lose to people.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Yeah.
that was Spa and the Perez Experience.
Perez
I
Experience.
really don't want to talk about it again. I really don't want to ever talk about it again.
Maybe I should name this podcast episode
The Perez Experience. It's
It's
been 2 years like this.
It sucks.
And in 2022, it was like, it wasn't, I guess it was just the start of it, wasn't it?
2022, he also was like, he was a bit better, but like it was the start of it. You started
Yeah.
seeing it, and then 2023, like last season, He really went.
And then
off
this
the
season was
rails.
a unbelievable skid.
Yeah. This has been a sharp decline.
Yeah.
But the thing that makes me happier about this season, last season Perez was affecting other people's races.
Yeah.
He was like just crashing into
That
people.
was brutal.
Yeah, he was driving poorly in a way that was also taking other people out of the race.
Yeah.
Whereas
I'm glad
at
he stopped
least-
that.
At least this time, he's just doing badly himself.
Yeah. Like Japan.
Yeah, Japan yeah.
of 2023.
Oh my goodness, he like crashed into like three people. He just
They pitted him,
dive-bombed
and then he got a
people.
penalty, so they put him on new soft tires, ran him out, so that he could serve his penalty and
Yeah.
retire.
Yeah, that was wild. So like, at least that's not happening again. But like, it was the second half of the season where Perez started to do really poorly. This time it started even earlier, and they're hoping it's going to get better in the second half.
Yeah.
A lot of those are the tracks that last year he didn't do that well.
Didn't he
at.
win 2 races last year?
He did win 2 races last year, I believe. 'Cause yeah, there were only 2 that Max didn't win. Or
No, he won Baku. He won 1
I thought he won 2. I did think he won 2 last year.
because Carlos Sainz won.
Carlos Sainz
Singapore.
won 1. That's right. I thought Perez did Perez only win 1? Maybe it was
look
only
it up.
1. Yeah.
Sergio Perez wins.
It wasn't Baku. It was.
Yeah, it was.
Are you sure? 'Cause then he did win.
It was
2.
Azerbaijan. What else did he win?
It was a night circuit because Max's gearbox wasn't right, wasn't it?
I don't know. Could have been. I have trouble keeping 2022 in 3 straight
Same.
because it was just Max winning.
Yes. I thought it wasn't Azerbaijan that Perez won.
We will see if it ever lets me look at his wins. I need just a wins column. I just need a
Oh,
chart to
man.
look at.
This
This
is
is
Wikipedia?
crazy. Yeah.
Ay.
Oh my gosh. 2024. Okay,
No,
let's
we
do
don't want 2024. We want 2023. 2023. How much did Perez win? That's what we want to know. Was it many times, or was it one?
Oh, he won in Saudi Arabia.
That's what I thought.
Okay, yes.
I thought it was a night circuit.
Yes.
Yeah. Was that the only one?
No, he won Azerbaijan.
He did win Azerbaijan as
Yeah.
well. Okay, so it was 2.
At the time, well, and still, he's the only driver to win the Azerbaijan Grand Prix more than once. So yeah, he won
Yes.
Baku twice.
Yes, he did.
But anyways, he won in Baku. He won in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
Yep.
And that was it for him. We've
Yeah.
already had the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
We haven't had Baku,
We
but
haven't had Baku
to be
yet.
fair, part of the reason that Max didn't win that race is because George Russell put a huge hole in the side of his car.
Like massive.
on like
And
the
he still
first
got
lap.
third.
Yeah, and he still got third.
And he was
So-
furious.
So like, yeah, I don't know. And Saudi Arabia, the only reason that Perez won that one is because Max had a gearbox issue,
That's
and he
right.
still almost closed the gap on Perez.
That's right. Yep.
So, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You have a guy that's winning races on technicalities at best in a team that is being carried by one single driver. I
Yeah.
just don't get it.
You know who never had that problem?
Who?
Valtteri Bottas.
Valtteri was good.
He was great.
It was good. He was good.
Everybody who there was a lot of people who just disrespected his name
Yeah.
massively
Yeah.
with how the team orders are being played out and like, oh, he can't compete, he's not that good, or like if he underperformed ever, they were brutal on him. But then
Yeah.
Perez almost like, well, definitely not from us. Actually, definitely not from a lot of people, but I remember the Valtteri Bottas slander being a lot harsher
Yeah.
than what we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
This is like calm and everybody's saying it.
Yep.
Where it's like, ooh, another Q1 exit for Perez, brutal.
Right. It's true. Yeah.
Like that's what everybody's
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
But no, Valtteri Bottas was a fantastic.
He never missed a Q3.
No,
He never missed a Q3.
which is crazy.
That's
actually.
an insane statistic.
Yeah, from 2017 until 2021.
Yep. That's wild.
Yeah.
Whereas
5 years?
you have Perez that's consistently missing Q3s in one of the fastest cars we've ever
Yeah.
seen. certainly at the start of the season, it was still the fastest.
Yeah.
All of last season, it was the fastest. He was still missing Q3s like crazy last season as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just on mistakes. But
Yeah.
anyhow, we got to please, Perez, please start doing better, because every time you do poorly, we can't. We never as funny.
That's not.
We never have as much fun with this podcast.
No, it makes
We
the
have to
podcast way
talk
worse.
about Sergio Perez.
It's
Like
too-
every time we've
it's
had to
too
talk about him,
depressing and
nothing.
serious.
We don't really have that much fun. 'Cause
No.
it's so annoying.
Yeah, the podcasts where he does nothing and we don't have to talk about him are way
So
more fun.
nice, so nice.
Then we can talk about fun stuff like Daniel Ricciardo getting a point. Because
Exactly,
George
'cause he
Russell
did.
crashed out.
And he did.
He
'Cause,
did.
Yeah,
Well,
so this is the
Russell
Formula
didn't
1
Crash out. I didn't. mean
this is
to
the
say
Formula
that.
1 equation. George
Yes,
Russell
yeah.
failing equals Daniel Ricciardo 1 point.
Yes.
So
1 point for Danny Rick.
the finishing grid was Hamilton won because of the disqualification. Piastri got second. Leclerc got third. Verstappen got fourth, which that was an impressive drive.
Yep.
11th to 4th.
Yep.
5th, it basically. Norris got 6th. Norris got 5th. Sainz got 6th. Perez got 7th. Alonso got 8th. Ocon got 9th.
Yep.
And Danny Ricciardo picked up a point for 10th.
He got a point.
So I think him and Tsunoda are a little more competitive now.
It's not that close, but
No?
yes. Sonoda's like 10 points ahead still.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
It's disappointing. Ricardo has not been doing great, but when he does have a good race, it's quite good.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, he's also gotten a little bit screwed around by team strategy and stuff too.
Oh, yeah. It is
So-
it is a 10-point difference. But, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got hosed at that last race.
Yeah, he did.
Whew.
He did. Now
Started on softs. They do that to him a lot.
They do that. Yeah.
It-
yeah.
I do not like that. If
They
ever
did it again this race.
they
didn't
did it again. If
I was like,
ever
oh, that's
this
weird.
kind of worked out, but like if ever I was a racing driver and they're like, "All right, Danny," or "No, all right, Noah, here's what we're doing. You know the tire that's only really good for qualifying, and we basically never use it unless it's super overcast and cool track temperatures. We're gonna throw that on your car right away. And here's what's gonna happen. Ideally, you're going to pass people really quickly at the start. Right before the tires actually start wearing and performing worse than everybody else's tires.
Yep.
And then you will have made up such an advantage that we're then going to pitch you and then do what everybody else does for the rest of the race. Somehow those soft tires, they're just going to get you there quicker.
Yeah.
It definitely won't hurt that you're in traffic and the tires don't like being in traffic.
Yeah. And then you have to pit before everybody else and then just get bogged
I'd just
down.
be like, no, let's just do the strategy that makes the most sense and that most people are doing.
Yeah.
If there's an advantage to be taken, let's try and take it. But the
Or-
soft tire start thing almost never works.
Or, I don't know, maybe try to go long on the tires because Danny Rick has
True.
been really good at doing that in the past,
True.
actually.
They do not believe in going long.
They don't believe in going long
No.
ever, apparently, with him. Despite that being like the only times he ever had success at McLaren was when he went really long on
Yes.
the tire.
Yeah.
Mexico 2022.
Yep.
He went insanely long and did fantastic in that race.
That's a great point. They're always just like, nah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just like, nah, pit him early.
Yeah. So it was a great race. It was exciting despite the disqualification.
Yeah, it's
Too
good
bad
race.
for George Russell. Mercedes has to get their stuff together a little bit better. That's 2 weekends in a row with big mistakes that have cost them big
True.
time. The qualifying mistake of last time where he didn't have enough fuel.
Yep, true.
And then this time.
It's interesting that Russell's kind of the one getting screwed over here more so. I feel like it's been Hamilton a lot in
Are
more
you
recent
saying
times,
that there's
but
some sabotage?
You think Hamilton is sabotaging?
Hamilton is sabotaging George Russell.
No, sabotage.
Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
Beastie Boys reference.
Yeah.
Listen, all y'all, this is sabotage. Do you think Lewis Hamilton has ever listened to the Beastie Boys?
Yeah, probably, actually. I would think so.
Do you think Lewis Hamilton is going to have friends at the lunch table at Ferrari?
Yeah, maybe.
I hope so.
I hope so.
You know what I'm really excited for? I'm excited for Charles Leclerc's driver development
Yeah.
working with Lewis Hamilton.
Well, he did work with Vettel.
Yeah, but he destroyed Vettel.
That's True. Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, maybe
Anyway.
maybe working alongside Hamilton will help Charles out a little bit.
yeah.
That would be nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Charles...
I also think that this is not to slight Sebastian Vettel. Love the guy. Actually, Peter Attia hangs out with Sebastian Vettel.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyways, I think Sebastian Vettel was the doctor dude who agreed with us.
Yes.
Who watches this? Shout out.
Yeah.
I think Sebastian Vettel was a little more on a downward trajectory when him and Charles Leclerc worked together than what Hamilton is right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Hamilton's coming out of a slump right now.
Out
by
of a
the
slump.
looks of things.
Yeah. He was at an all-time high, fairly big low, and is building up momentum upwards.
And to be fair,
so.
even in Hamilton's low, like his total stats, if you take out like DNFs, he has only finished outside of the points like 9 times in his career or something like that.
Yep.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
Like Hamilton's statistics are insane.
Yep.
So like I don't know, even in a slump, he's still scoring points consistently.
Yeah.
And still holding his own against Russell consistently.
Yeah.
And right now he's now quite a chunk ahead of Russell in the driver's standings because of the last kind of couple
2
of races.
wins. Yep.
So, I don't know. Hamilton's looking really good right now.
He is.
And I'll be really curious to see who the lead driver is at Ferrari. You think it's going to be Leclerc or Hamilton?
They're going to say that it's neither.
Okay.
Leclerc,
Leclerc
obviously has the home court advantage.
Yeah.
We'll talk in 2026 who the lead driver is.
Okay.
I don't think that they'd crown a lead driver. Like, they wouldn't crown Lewis Hamilton a lead driver in 1 year. No way.
No, I agree. And they'll try to treat them equally.
Yeah.
I mean, like, who do you think comes out ahead? In that driver pairing, honestly, what's your prediction? Who comes out ahead? Come on.
I genuinely don't know because I think Leclerc has an unreal amount of pace and skill. I just think that he's mired by frustration-driven inconsistencies.
His pace has been a bit worse this year, though. He's had a harder time getting the tires into the right window.
Sure.
And actually getting the car into like the right operating window.
Yeah. But I think in the same vehicle, I think his pace is really good.
Yeah?
Yep.
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll find out.
We'll see.
I'm not discounting Lewis Hamilton. It's just I gotta root for my boy Charles Leclerc.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I like Charles. I do also like Hamilton quite a lot.
certainly.
I'm quite a big fan of Hamilton, honestly.
Certainly.
The more I see of him, the more of a fan I am. I wasn't a big F1 fan in the domination era, which probably helps with this.
Yeah.
But I like how he carries himself. I like how he talks to people. I don't know. I like his attitude.
I've become more of a Hamilton fan the more that he signed with Ferrari. I'm kidding. No, the more that he's been on kind of this, like, I don't want to call it a redemption arc because that would mean that he did something wrong, which he didn't.
Yeah.
A recovery arc. I've really liked seeing him do that. That's been very cool.
It has been cool.
I don't think you see that much in professional sports at all, so I'm loving it.
Yep.
Where a team goes from the tippy top to basically the bottom.
Yeah.
And then finds their way back again. And I don't think you see athletes that really weather that out either, personally. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, a lot don't.
I just don't know.
That.
I couldn't tell you of any.
Yeah.
Other than Fernando Alonso.
Well, yes. I mean, but that guy's been all over the map.
Dude's just insane.
Like,
took a year off and won Le Mans.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Didn't he like say something that he didn't even want to take a year off? It's like they just like made him basically.
Who's they?
I forget. It's like he.
I don't think he could
didn't
get.
Want to resign him
I don't think they could get him a drive. I think he was sick of McLaren.
Yeah, he was sick of McLaren.
He was
he couldn't get
done
a drive
with McLaren, and I don't think
he
could get a drive. So then he took a year off, won Le Mans, and then Alpine was like, "Ho.
Well, you raced here before. Do you want to come back?
Oui, oui." And
then,
did quite well in that car until
Ocon
just ruined the relationship, and
as he does.
Yeah.
Which is why Haas have so wisely
have
chosen
so wisely
to sign
picked him up so that he can absolutely nuke their rookie
Yeah.
the first chance he gets.
I'm excited for Ocon to assert himself as the number one driver at the
Can
team.
you imagine being Oliver Behrman coming into a team
I would be terrified
that's
if I was him.
sort
I
of
would not be
sucks?
thrilled.
I'd be looking to dominate him. I'd big dog him.
Yeah.
I would big dog Esteban
I would
Ocon
just
if
be
I was
bitter
Oliver
that
Behrman.
I have Esteban Ocon as a team.
But it would be tough because then it's like they always say like, "Oh, your worst enemy is actually your teammate," but like actually with Esteban Ocon,
Yeah,
it is.
like legitimately.
No, I'd
it
big
is.
dog him.
He might crash you out of a race.
I'd try and get driver tips from. I'd cozy up to everybody else.
Yeah.
Everybody else.
Yeah. I don't think Esteban has very many fans.
He's literally not a bestie to anybody.
No,
ever.
I don't think among the other drivers he has many supporters.
I don't know. They must not watch.
I think like I think Lance Stroll is maybe kind of friends with Ocon, as far as I can tell. Even
I don't
that,
know.
I don't know if that's actually accurate.
I don't know.
I don't know who Ocon is
I don't
friends
know.
with. I'll be honest. I don't know.
I don't know, but there are the blah, 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 blah. There's more and more rumors. This is going down a completely different direction. That Adrian Newey is going to Aston Martin.
Yes, they are
There are more.
flying. They are flying. We didn't mention that in the rumor corner.
We didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be exciting.
It would be,
Love
but
to
it'd
see
be
that.
cooler if he went to Ferrari. Apparently, he wanted to bring an army of engineers, and Ferrari
wouldn't
was
like that.
that's
Ferrari
too
would
much
hate that.
power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ferrari doesn't like people being good at their jobs very much, usually.
They don't like people being bigger than Ferrari. That's
Yeah.
actually what they don't like.
Ferrari.
Ferrari.
Is
But yeah.
everything.
I'm kind of zonked out here.
Yep.
I think we've
Oh, yeah, it's a
exhausted
good,
this.
good spot to wrap things up.
We might have to make a pact to just not stop talking about Perez for the
Yeah,
sake
we're
of
just gonna
comedy.
ignore him.
For the sake of comedy.
Yep. Ignore him.
Yeah.
Who came 7th? I don't know.
Couldn't tell you.
Couldn't tell you.
Couldn't tell you. So,
Don't know.
anyways, this has been The Drain, guys. I'm Noah,
I'm David.
and we will see you
After the summer
after
break.
the summer break.
Yeah.
Zandvoort and then Monza.
Yep.
Au revoir.
Bella ciao.